All right, welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that's, well, it's both absolutely fascinating and, frankly, a little bit dangerous. We're going to be looking at the psychology of seduction, but through the lens of Carl Jung. And at its heart is a really powerful warning about how the incredible stress of modern life can make any one of us, and I mean anyone, psychologically vulnerable. I mean, this question gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's a really powerful and, let's be honest, kind of unsettling thought, isn't it? It suggests that our strength, that tough exterior we all put on, isn't some permanent shield. It's more like a defense that can be worn down, eroded by the pressures of life, leaving a person surprisingly and profoundly open to influence, for better or for worse. So, to really understand how this all works, we have to start by talking about stress. But I don't just mean stress as that bad feeling you get on a Sunday night. No, we need to see it the way Jung saw it, as a kind of key, a key that can unlock the hidden, forgotten rooms of our own minds. And look, this isn't some rare, niche condition we're talking about here. A staggering 75%, 3 out of every 4 adults have reported feeling so overwhelmed by stress that they just couldn't cope. Think about that for a second. It's not the exception anymore. It's practically the silent, grinding rhythm of our modern lives. You know, underneath all those perfect social media posts and the chase for professional success, there's this deep, collective exhaustion. Now, here's where it gets really interesting from a psychological standpoint. What happens to us when we're under that much pressure? This is where Carl Jung's famous concept of the shadow is so important. Now, the shadow isn't just your dark side. It's not pure evil. It's everything we push down. It's all our secret desires, our hidden pains, the insecurities we'd rather die than admit to. And Jung's big point, the crucial insight is this. When stress breaks down our conscious defenses, our ego, the shadow starts to leak out. And when it does, it creates this desperate, unconscious craving for relief, for comfort, for absolutely anyone who seems to offer an escape from the pressure. And this brings us right to our first major warning, a theme you're going to see again and again in this explainer. Engaging with someone in this incredibly vulnerable state is never a simple thing. You're not just dealing with the person they present to the world, their polite mask. Oh no, you are stirring up powerful, primal, unconscious forces. You are, quite literally, playing with the fire of their shadow. And make no mistake about it, the shadow always seeks repayment. Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we need a quick little map of the mind, at least according to Jung. And it all starts with understanding the mask that every single one of us wears every single day. Jung had a name for this mask, the persona. You know exactly what this is. It's your professional face, it's your customer service voice, it's that I'm fine, everything's great armor you put on. It's totally shaped by what society expects from us, how we're supposed to look and act and succeed to be considered worthy. And look, it's not a bad thing. We need it to function in the world. But it is not the whole story of who we are, not even close. And this right here, this shows you the internal conflict perfectly. It's a constant tug of war. On one side, you've got the persona, that curated, polished version of us for public consumption. On the other, you have the shadow, everything that doesn't fit into that perfect picture. The persona is fragile, right? It's built on conformity and ideals. But the shadow is a powerful, raw, unconscious force. The real tension, the real vulnerability, lies right in the middle of this battle. So, what causes the cracks in that armor? What are these specific pressures in our lives that weaken the persona and allow the shadow to come pouring out, making us so incredibly susceptible to influence? Well, modern life serves up a few key stressors on a silver platter. There's that relentless societal pressure to be thinner, richer, happier, more perfect. There are the deep, invisible wounds left by toxic relationships. There's the immense, often isolating burden of parenting in today's world. And of course, there's that soul-crushing alienation that comes from a meaningless job. Each one of these acts like a tiny hammer, chipping away at our psychological defenses, day after day. So the crucial takeaway here is that these aren't just bad days. These are sustained psychic attacks. They completely exhaust the ego. You know, that conscious part of our mind that's like a security guard, trying to keep everything in order. And when that guard gets tired, when the ego's defenses are down, the unconscious, the shadow, starts to seep through the cracks, desperately looking for an escape, for a savior, for anyone at all offering a different reality. And this is where we hit another critical danger: something called projection. When someone is in this depleted, desperate state, they don't see the real you. They can't. Their psyche is so hungry for a solution that it literally projects an archetypal role onto you. You suddenly become the idea of a savior, or the fantasy of a perfect lover, or the living symbol of freedom. This is incredibly potent, it's intoxicating, but it's also so dangerous, because they are falling for a role you are playing, not the person you actually are. So, let's actually look at how this vulnerability can be knowingly exploited through some very specific strategies. We're going to break down 4 archetypal roles a person might adopt. Now, please think of this not as a how-to guide for manipulation, but as a field guide for recognizing it. This is about knowing the playbook. And here they are, the 4 archetypes. The liberator, who offers the cure of pleasure. The wise guide, who offers validation. The mirror, who offers a perfect reflection of the self. And finally, the most powerful and the most perilous of all, the alchemist, who offers nothing less than transformation. First up, we have the liberator. The logic here is simple, and it is brutally effective. When someone's life has become this grayscale slog of stress and responsibility, you show up as a splash of vibrant color. You embody joy, spontaneity, laughter, pleasure. The key is you don't actually solve their problems, you become the escape from their problems. And their unconscious just latches onto you as the sole source of life in an otherwise deadening world. But of course, there's a cost. There's always a cost. Playing the liberator means you become responsible for their happiness. Yeah, they might put you on a pedestal and idolize you, but they will also expect you to constantly carry the heavy weight of their misery, to be this endless fountain of joy for them to drink from. It's a role that can and will drain you completely dry. Okay, the second archetype, the wise guide. Think about it. The world is constantly telling us we're not smart enough, not good enough, that we're making the wrong choices. The wise guide does the exact opposite. This archetype validates a person's core beliefs about themselves. You don't challenge them, you affirm them. You tell them they're right. You essentially create a safe harbor, a psychic sanctuary where their bruised and battered ego can finally rest and feel understood. This builds an unbelievably powerful bond of trust and ultimately dependency. Now for number 3, the mirror. This strategy is so powerful because it taps into a fundamental piece of human psychology, a very subtle but very real form of narcissism. Deep down, people are just drawn to what feels familiar. The mirror simply reflects the other person back at themselves, echoing their opinions, their sense of humor, their values, their spirit. So when they look at you, what they see is the best, most understood version of themselves. And I mean, how could they not fall in love with that? Their defenses just melt away. But the warning here, the warning is severe. Let's be crystal clear. They are not falling in love with you. They are falling in love with a projection, an echo of their own ego. And the moment that mirror shows a crack, the moment you reveal a different opinion, an independent thought, a part of your real self, the entire illusion shatters. And that kind of disillusionment, it can turn what felt like love into resentment or even violent rage in a heartbeat. And finally, we come to the alchemist. This is, without a doubt, the most profound and the most dangerous strategy of them all. See, unlike the others, the alchemist doesn't offer an escape from pain. They walk right into it. They engage with the pain directly. They listen to the suffering, they acknowledge the emptiness, and then, and this is the masterstroke, they offer to transform that heavy, leaden pain into the pure gold of passion, intimacy, and desire. They make themselves the solution to the person's deepest, darkest wounds. And this carries the gravest danger of all, because this isn't just playing a role anymore. You are meddling directly with the core of someone's psyche. You're working with archetypical fire. The kind of connection this creates can be so overwhelmingly intense, it becomes an obsession that can easily spiral out of control and completely consume both the seducer and the seduced. All of this, all these strategies and warnings, leads us to the final, unavoidable cost. The ultimate Jungian truth about what really happens when you try to manipulate someone's unconscious. And really, it all comes down to this monumental insight from Jung himself. When these kinds of dynamics are at play, people are not acting freely. Not at all. They are being directed by powerful unconscious forces, by the desperate cravings of their shadow, by their projections, by their unhealed wounds. And they'll call it love, or destiny, or fate. But what it really is the unconscious running the show. And that doesn't just apply to the person being seduced, it applies to the seducer too. So we end with this paradox, which is really the ultimate warning of this whole explainer. In succeeding at this kind of seduction, have you actually won someone's affection? Or have you just become a more and more perfect mirror? Are they really falling for you, the actual person, or are they simply and tragically captivated by the reflection of their own hidden shadow, which you've just gotten so skillful at showing them?